Yo, yo, what is up? What is up, guys? I hope everybody is having a fantastic night tonight. Hope everyone's doing good. Second preseason game is almost here tomorrow. And this is the day where players are going to push for roster spots. Yeah, two joint practices this week. Very hot, humid, disgusting days of practice this week. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, man. I mean, honestly, and I just want to tell everybody, because I didn't stream the last couple days. Unfortunately, I had tickets for something a while ago, and I didn't know that they landed literally on the days of joint practice. So hence why I had to geek out and do some things that I really couldn't miss. And this is why I didn't stream those 2 days of joint practices in the early morning. And still was following the news, what was going on, and finally was able to, make some videos, see what was going on. And for the last 2 days, even the two joint practices, I think, you can't take too much out of it because, I don't think some of these position groups were going at 100%. A lot of veterans were out. A lot of veterans were supposed to be playing in these 2 days of joint practice because of the heat, because, they were resting some guys that really need to be rested. And I don't think we got a lot of answers, dude. Like I really don't. And if you want to ask me about safety position, things like that, like I think Tyler Steen is doing well. Tyler Steen is really locking up that right guard spot. So I really don't have any issues with that. Safety, like, I think Makuba just needs to be thrown to that first game and let him go through his growing pains. Honestly, like, I think we need to stop saying that we're going to see superstars, rise in this camp. And Makuba is only on this, like, fourth practice back at full capacity. So I think safety is going to figure itself out when we get into the regular season. And when it comes down to cornerback, it's a fucking mess. Cornerback's a fucking mess right now. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's like they have no answer. They have no answer to the point where Mac McWilliams isn't even playing inside corner anymore. Like they have him on the outside almost full time right now. You know what I mean? But it's just like you cut too many corners in this offseason, especially at that cornerback spot. If you legit didn't know you were going to get a comp pick for Isaiah Rodgers, that shit fucking hurt. Trading Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was the first domino effect, which you get rid of Chauncey, it created the biggest need possible. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that Howie, and look, I think not that Howie is full of himself because he's done a really good job the last few years when it comes to drafts, free agency, besides Bryce Huff. I think he was kind of like, it's a Georgia guy. They have a lot of faith in Keely Ringo, but we're talking about a fourth-round pick here. You know what I mean? So, but then I thought about last year's offseason program. Like, I didn't think Nolan Smith played well. I didn't think Nolan Smith was looking good in the last offseason program last year. I didn't think Nakobe Dean was looking good. And then they got into the season and boom, they were great. So the offseason program is very confusing, especially when you're only hearing things and you're not seeing them with your own two eyes. We rely on these beat writers to give us all of the news, and I don't think the news has been great. I think they've missed on a lot of things, because they kind of, how should I say this? They report what's been going on, but sometimes there's some misinformation when it comes to some of their reporting. And then they make these articles explaining even more things, you know what I mean, throughout the entire day when they make this big article on the final, the summary of Eagles training camp for this specific day. So, that's where I'm kind of confused on things. And this preseason game tomorrow, is it going to give us the answers we really want and desire? I'm not really sure. Let me say hi to everybody in the chat before I start ranting even more in this stream. Donnie, what's going on? Donnie says, can't wait. What up, Joey? Can't wait for tomorrow's preseason game. One day close to the start of the season. It's true. Teddy Case says, what up, Joey? What's going on? Linda, what's going on? Scott B. What up, Dave? What's going on, buddy? Joey, this game is gonna be for what final roster's practice squad, right? I mean, realistically, here's what's gonna happen. Like, you're hoping that some guys are going to lock up their spots. I think, Darius Cooper's gonna lock up a spot. Tyler Steen's the starting right guard. Cornerback is still up in the air right now. Adoree Jackson has still been starting. Okay. We know Darius Cooper has been on gunner. He's been on kick return. He's been doing a lot more special teams, which begins to show me they want him to make this roster. They don't want him to just sit on the bench all year. They want him to still be active throughout the season. And that's not a bad thing at all. So, offensive line, depth-wise, left guard, if Landon Dickerson does not play in this first game off this, thank God, this very mild meniscus tear. Thank God it's not any more serious than what it is. And Brett Toth has seemed to be the leading case at the left guard spot. And for this point of that spot, and I don't think Brett Toth is anything great. Maybe this is a guy that's been building himself up the last few years on this team. Can play multiple positions, but I don't think can play multiple positions well. At center, he's not great. It's unfortunate that Trevor Keegan can't even fucking stay healthy because he's like the number 3 center at this point. And I don't think they even want him at guard. You know what I mean? So if you don't have to move Tyler Steen from that right guard position, that would be great. But unfortunately, the left guard spot is, left tackle would be more, it's more of a blindside position. Left guard is somewhat of a blindside position, but I don't think will be too bad. So there's a lot going on. There's not a lot of promise here. Tanner, what's going on, dude? He says they were really betting on Kelee Ringo becoming something. There's still time, but yeah, as of now, it hasn't been working out so far. I don't think it has. Kelee Ringo has been with second team. Adoree Jackson, I guess, is the better guy. He's been getting all the starts. Adoree Jackson's been getting all the starts. What, 10 starts? 10 starts for Adoree Jackson. What, 6, 7? What was it, like 7 or 8 starts? I forgot what it is. I would say 6 or 7 starts for Kelee Ringo at the number 2 corner spot. You know what I mean? What's going on, Iron Mike? What's going on, buddy? 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Nina, what's going on? Hey, Joey, hope you're doing well. Can't wait till 9. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for the season already, but there's still so many questions right now, And by the way, guys, hey, we got a fresh wall right now. Thanks to my girlfriend, her daughter came over, got this done. I have a lot more things happening Sunday with my backdrop, and this desk is going to be pulled out further, and there's a lot more stuff going on. So, yeah, we're not in the green room anymore. We're in a cabin somewhere, and I guess you guys will probably figure out where this is going. If there's any spam in the chat, just get rid of it. Honestly, just block them. Just block the spam. Block that NFL spam. There's a Joey. You on Instagram? If you should follow Eagles Review, they give in-depth reporting on training camp. I don't have Instagram, unfortunately. I'm only on X, and that's all the social media I have. So, I'm not big on social media at all. If I wasn't on YouTube doing reports, or if I wasn't on YouTube at all, I probably wouldn't even have social media at all. Period. I wouldn't have social media. That's the truth. Rocky said, "Hey Joey, they said Garrett was unstoppable in both joint practice. Yeah, well, I thought Jordan Malad did a good job, and it was a really hot day. But I think the second day, I think it was the first day too. Now I think he had a sack on Jalen Hurts. I know that Malata was opening up, especially on the run for Will Shipley and Saquon Barkley. He opened up some nice paths for both of those guys. So." I mean, it's going to be a matchup back and forth between both of them. So, you know what I mean? Tommy says, not too late to decide. Just Simmons and move Coop to cornerback too. Yeah, dude, like moving anybody's decision on moving Coop to outside is the wrong decision. Everyone thinks that moving Coop to the outside is going to fix all of our problems. It is not. It is going to make us worse. And Cooper DeJean just guarding one dude the entire game is not going to make our defense better. It's going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse. So, because he can't cover the inside flat, I mean, it's a huge weakness, bro. Putting him to cornerback 2, moving him to safety, it's not going to do anything. I don't know why people can't. I don't know why people think that that's the answer. Like, it's so easy. If it was so easy, they would have done that. You know what I mean? When have you seen Coop at cornerback 2? You never seen it. This can't. Not that you haven't seen it once. That's going to be more of a next year type of thing. This year, or at least moving him around the field, it will be more of a next year, or at least the next couple of years. This year, he's got to stay on the inside. You know what I mean? Appreciate Tanner for taking care of that. Right, she needs to stay at nickel. That's true. Cincy Jenkins says, Dave, those K moves had happened. 2KSA outplayed his contract in the first year. Brown and Steen has 2 years left on rookie deals. Yeah, there's a lot going for it. Like, I think the one thing that we have to kind of look at is, you know, you have a really tough schedule in the beginning. Besides the Cowboys, like, you could probably knock the rust off on top of it, but you have 4 playoff teams you have to face. You got to face Tampa again, and I think that's a game we really need to win finally. Okay, you got to face you have to go to KC. You know what I mean? It's not, you know, you have the Rams. It's going to be a tough stretch in that beginning. It's going to be a very tough stretch going forward. You know what I mean? So not only does the offense have to knock the rust off, and we need to see what's going on with Landon Dickerson. If you have one weakness at that position, I guess that's all right. You know what I mean? If they have that much trust in Brett Toth at this point, then okay. You know what I mean? I'm not there at practice. I can't see it. I don't know. You know, I guess he's been okay. But because Fangio will probably move Coop around when needed, but yes, primarily he should be in the slot. Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. You know, if that corner spot was more solidified, you know, then I feel like they would have had more guys on the inside. I feel like they have no depth at inside corner either. Eli Ricks, unfortunately, has been playing outside, has been playing inside, but I don't think has been consistent. And I think Fangio has talked about Eli Ricks knocking out some of the negative plays that he has on the field. But I just got to say, Eli Ricks, does he deserve a chance? Of course he does. You know, so I think he's been one of the most consistent guys that we've had so far, but I don't think he's no starter. You know what I mean? Richard, how's the Eagles tight end depth? Trading Goddard for a stud cornerback worth it? No. They did all that just to bring him back, dude. They did all that just to bring him back because I didn't even think he was coming back. On top of the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade this offseason program, or at least this offseason, Goddard, you know, the Eagles telling Goddard to go look for a trade partner was another thing that was just eye-opening. And I get it. There was no guaranteed money on Goddard's contract going into this year. There was no guaranteed money left on the table. So it was only right for them to figure it out. And it was a long process, but he came back. It is what it is. Kylan Granson seems like the number 3 tight end. Okay. I think Kylan Granson has been, I think has suffered in his career just from not great quarterback play. I think he's a pretty good tight end. I think his blocking is very valuable, and as pass catcher, I think he's got some value too. So I think it's going to be Goddard, Calcaterra, Kylan Granson. Those are your 3 guys so far. You know, Cancer, from what I heard, Richie Granson has had fairly good training camp so far. Trending is to come tight end 3. Yeah. All right, Robert, what's up, Joey? How you feeling about Jahad Campbell being compared to Parsons? I mean, I think from an aspect of, compared to Parsons, I think he could be better, to be honest with you. Campbell has just been a force to be reckoned with when it comes to not only being a edge rusher on the second team, and I think he just needs more work, but as an off-ball linebacker, his long arms and just him being in coverage and playing downhill and being very disruptive, it's been almost A+. It's been A++++. It's been that good, to the point where Vic Fangio is saying that training camp is disappearing. Training camp is disappearing from behind Jahad Campbell right now. Like, it's just making it seem like he's already ready at this point. I think it's becoming one of the best picks that everybody kind of dogged on in that draft, or how he was trying to trade up for him, really since the Chargers pick at 23, 24. The Eagles got him. The Eagles didn't have to do anything. You know what I mean? So I think they did a good job there. But he's been phenomenal. Phenomenal. You know, is he overly aggressive? Sure, but you know what? When you're trying to fight for a spot, that's what you're going to have to be when it comes to training camp, and he has been overly aggressive, and that's perfectly fine. I've had no issues with it, to be honest. And these beat writers that are kind of like, hey, they need to control him. They need to, they need to fucking control him for trying to fight for a fucking spot. Like, what are you, out of your mind? No. Dad said, well, to be fair, Rocky Fortress hasn't exactly been amazing the last couple of days, but I'm not worried. Richie says probably will not see Saquon tomorrow. Will Hurts play if no. Guys, we know how Sirianni does these preseason games. No starters are playing. Nobody's playing. Some guys have to play, but you're talking about Lane, you're talking about Saquon, Hurts, like those guys are not playing. Okay. Carter's probably not playing. There's probably, like I said, like the main guys are probably not playing. Maybe Ojomo gets a snap. Maybe like certain guys have to play for a series or something like that. That's fine. But no. That's been the name of that's the name of what Nick has done. Like those joint practices are very valuable to starters. That's where the starters get a lot of reps in game-like situations. Now, they're not tackling quarterbacks. They're not knocking people out. Like, they're not going crazy. So that's where we're kind of at. I'm excited for this game tomorrow, but honestly, like, I'm a little nervous with certain spots right now. Safety is really not one of them for me, as everyone thinks that it's going to be safety. It's really not. They have to treat Andrew Makuba like pretty much when Didnt was out most of the offseason program. He was only practicing for one day at joint practice for the Patriots. He, got in that third preseason game, and everybody called him trash after that game, which he was not. And it took him 4 to 5 weeks to kind of settle in and be a full-time starter on the inside. That's just the truth. That's where we're at, Right, I just hope we could start fast on offense this season for once. Yeah, I mean, it would be good. Teams that get on a hot start early in the season, a lot of that flame burns out middle of the season. A lot of teams that get that early fiery start, I don't expect this team to have an early fire start. I expect them to be, against the Cowboys, I would say they would win by a couple scores. Like, they're not going to be in by 3-4 touchdowns. Like, the Eagles are going to make mistakes in that game. They're going to make the Cowboys look a little bit better than they should be, than they really shouldn't be. Sorry. They're going to have to knock off rust, and really, you have a new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, that needs to find the identity to this offense. You know what I mean? They don't have a week 5 bye this year, so they need to figure this shit out quick. And you're facing, like I said, you're facing the Rams after the Cowboys. Sorry, after the Cowboys, you're facing, I don't know the exact order. You're facing KC, you're facing the Rams, you're facing the Bucks, Denver. You're facing like 4 playoff teams from last year. You know what I mean? So you got to really be on your game, man. They need to figure it out, like quick, fast. They got to figure it out. Go on, Matthew. Appreciate it, man. Right, so Sidney Brown needs to learn how to tackle them. Yeah, I mean, realistically, when he plays, honestly, from his second practice with the Browns, he actually played pretty good. From a downhill perspective, he made a few tackles. He actually did a good job. His biggest problem right now is like seeing things before they happen, especially late with safety help. It's like he's very late on things. And I think Fangio talked about this on his last press conference. When he's back in coverage, like sometimes he just doesn't see things a lot quicker than he should. And he's late to some plays. Just imagine Fangio talked about, he talked about Cooper Didnt being at safety. And remember the first time he talked about it, he was like, oh, it's like he's played the position for years, He's a natural at safety, and I think Cooper Didnt is still learning that position as well. There's some plays that he was, late to getting to. I think it was like an out route by Calcaterra, and he, kind of missed it, kind of missed the tackle or something like that. So, there are certain things that need to be worked out, but I think you just need to throw Andrew Makuba into that first game and just let him learn and let him, you know what I mean? And he missed some valuable days. He missed a few days. You missed a few days of camp. It hurts. It's not something you can it's something you can come back from, but from some players, it's not always the same, Tommy says, I still believe we'll be okay. Vic Fangio will keep safety help over the top. Ringo and Fangio is going to get Bennett into shape for his scheme by Dallas week. I believe we'll tighten up. Yeah, I mean, look, like Jacorian Bennett, he was with the third team, getting reps with second team, and then late first team reps. That was when he first got to the open practice. Okay, the open practice at the link. Like, he's only had, like, how many practices? Like 3 or 4? Like, not many. He got to Philadelphia a couple days before the open practice, right? Yeah. Or the first preseason game. The day before, a couple of days, they did walk through the day before the preseason game, and then he didn't play that preseason game, I don't think. I'm trying to remember if he even played in that game. I think he worked out. I think before they got on the field, and that was pretty much it. So Jacorian Bennett's way behind right now because it was because he got here really late before that first game. So I wouldn't make a big deal out of that, but it is, you can't crucify the guy. The guy just got here. Like, still a few practices under his belt. He hasn't had it. Jacorian Bennett hasn't had a full week of practice with this team yet. Literally, not even a full week yet. Got to give it some time, though. Go on, Yipa. What's going on, buddy? Howie Roberts says Sidney Brown can tackle. His problem is he over pursues. Too aggressive. Yeah, he plays like he's on kickoff. I don't necessarily I want Sidney Brown to get better. I want him to be a depth guy on this team. Like, I don't want Trisha McCollum over him. Like, Sidney Brown is a draft pick. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to, be there for depth if needed. Do I necessarily want him to win the job unless he's playing lights out? Probably not. I don't think he's playing lights out at all. Andrew Makuba needs to go through his growing pains. I think they need to put him in that first game. They need to play him every single week. I don't think going out and getting Justin Simmons is going to fix all our problems. Will it fix it for the year? Maybe. I mean, we don't even know if Justin Simmons is really still good at this point. In a different scheme with Atlanta, I guess. Not a great year for him. Is he starting to plummet because of his age? I'm not really sure. Tommy says, you think we're going to play base defense more this early with Coop at safety till someone steps up? I mean, potentially they could do that, but there are going to be times where you need that safety up. There are going to be times where, Cooper's needed on the inside. You know what I mean? Taking Cooper out, it's not going to fix your problems, or moving him to another position isn't going to fix your problems. Even if you're playing base, it's still not going to fix your problems. So we're going to have to really rely on this defensive line for a lot of things as well, so we'll see what happens. Bryce, what's going on, buddy? So you hear Howie still pissed about not drafting? Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is, because I think I don't think Howie had a lot of final say in those drafts. Now, I think that ultimately, from what the homework that was given from his scouts and from Jeffrey Lurie, they weren't drafting from SEC schools. Okay, I think Jalen Hurts has been a big part of that too, where I think Lurie has had some sense in, draft guys from SEC. I think once Jalen Hurts got here and he was really on board and they believed in him as the starter in 22, especially, they started drafting from SEC schools, getting more into those really bigger schools. So, I think that's a big part of it, man, and unfortunately it was a miss. And not only did they miss that, they missed a couple times, in some drafts, but I think you're not drafting analytically, you're drafting best player available. You're not drafting number one need. And I think that's been the biggest issue before a few years ago. That's been literally the big issue. And it really started with Devontae Smith. That was the first pick where everything really started. And that was the A.J. Brown trade. And then it was Dickerson. And then it really continued after that. And it got so much better, Yeah, Bennett still needs to learn the defense to set Eagles running out of time to figure out. I think they're seriously, usually in these joint practices, you get somewhat of a nice, you find something new to talk about, and there's nothing to talk about with cornerback 2. There's nothing to talk about. Like, Adoree Jackson seems like the prime starter right now. From what I've seen, from what I've heard, that's been literally the direction it's going, and it's not a good direction at all. I'm sorry, but when I see Adoree Jackson lined up 8 fucking yards backed up from Jamar Chase, like I say 5 to 6 yards, okay, fucking 8 to 10 yards, bro. What do you think you're doing on that? You're not doing much. You're really not doing much. I don't know why there's so many. Why is there so much NFL? Usually these spam messages happen. Usually the spam comes like this. These NFL spams come on game day. I don't know why. They're so into these streams right now. Yo, Chris, what's going on, buddy? A member for 23 months says, has Rick's been any good? He's been up and down. He's just not consistent. You know what I mean? He hasn't been consistent. He's just not consistent. He's just not making every play. I mean, that's really it. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but there's been a lot more negative than there has been positive. And then you go into these games and like, yeah, like almost had a pick, faced better talent early in the first half, then not much in the second half. But I got to say, he's been more consistent. I think he deserves a shot, you know? You know what I mean? Like, it's not much. Appreciate it, Chris. Howard says, when does the NFC hard? I don't even know, dude. I don't even know when it starts. Blaze of Glory says Dory Jackson equals Leotis McKelvin. Oh, God, Leotis McKelvin. Like, I don't want this team to turn to shit like that. Like every fucking year, they're gonna grab some guy off the street. I totally forgot about Leotis McKelvin. Fucking Christ, that was a nightmare. Get like acquiring a corner out of his prime to help, you know. Guys, if Darius Cooper is a baller, you could see it already. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, even the last practice that they had against the Browns, I mean, he was cooking. He cooked Denzel Ward, their number one corner for the Browns, cooked him on a slant. Or I forgot what the play was. I think it was a slant or something like that. He's been great. But what was really good is that Elijah Cooks is back, which is good. You know what I mean? So he missed a lot of time, dude. He seemed like the prime guy at number 4. And Darius Cooper was making plays too. And then the special teams during that first preseason game, Elijah Cooks got hurt. And then we just saw Darius Cooper just fucking cook. We're not talking about a wide receiver that gets into the second half of these preseason games, runs a go route, gets a catch, and we're all like, oh, he looks really great. This man is good at the point of attack of the football, the break of the route, the explosiveness off the line. I mean, he catches the ball, he spins, he's very twitchy. He's a human joystick almost. And let me tell you, you won't have to spend money at this wide receiver 3 spot come fucking next year at all. Let me tell you. Short, stocky, strong, almost like a mini A.J. Brown in a lot of ways. Like a mini A.J. Brown. You know what I mean? If you can't tell from that tape, this isn't, like I said, there's a lot of receivers that play in the second half of these preseason games over the years, and they get some like very generic fucking catches against bad talent. Like very generic. Like Johnny Wilson popped out. Johnny Wilson having a bad camp. Anaya Smith, I haven't heard his name this last 2 days, so not great. But Johnny Wilson, though, I mean, preseason game, boom, fantastic. Those 2 Brown joint practices, boom, fantastic. Coming back off the preseason game during Eagles practice and Eagles camp in general, fantastic. So he's really, I'm thinking, starting to make a name for himself a little bit. You know, Johnny Wilson, give me some Johnny Wilson. You know what I mean? For a guy that's almost 6'7" with a big frame, to have that, anybody that lines up in front of him, if he's involved with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the field, he's going to have a guy that's not, the size difference is already there. The mismatch is already there. Johnny Wilson just got to make these fucking catches. He just got to make these catches. You know what I mean? And I think you're golden after that. I think you're good after that. You know what I mean? So that's where we're at, bro. Dave says, Joey, I think Howie is going to be looking at what linemen in the secondary get cut and try to pick up after this week because we play on a Thursday to start the season. I mean, I don't know what the plan. Like, what if this, for cornerback especially, what if this game doesn't go well? I mean, who's the leading guy right now? I mean, is Dory Jackson, like, there's no way he's making this fucking roster. I think, unless it's out of desperation. Keely Ringo, good special teamer. He's got some value, but nothing to the starting defense. Jacorian Bennett, do they roll with him that first game and just throw him into the fire and just let him fucking go? Let him go after it? You know what I mean? I don't know. I go back to when I was shitting on Nolan Smith last offseason program. I was shitting on Nakobe Dean last year. They got into the season and played well. So it's really hard for me to like say what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. It's hard for me to go into that, you know. Trust me, I eat my crow. I'm humble enough to say I was wrong. I've said it a million times. Trust me, I'm not always right. I'm not a professional fucking reporter. I'm just a fan like you guys in this chat right now. I'm figuring out as much as you're figuring out. Okay? Trust me. If I had the chance to go on the field and like actually report a practice, I would fucking do it to the utmost time I would do it. But unfortunately, you know, I'm no favorite, so I'm nothing special, you know. Bennett has been bad for 2 practices. Yeah, but he hasn't been here long, bro. Like, what do you expect? He just got from one team to another team. He's only had like he's had less than 5 practices. What, 4 practices? I mean, like realistically, like I'm gonna shit on a guy that like, you know what I mean? I can't even shit on Ringo at this point. Like, he's a 4th round pick. Like, what type of pressure does he have going into this fucking camp? A lot, actually, that they put on him. Tommy says, this year I could see the Eagles in quite a few shootouts, and that's going to make me nervous. I believe we'll Titan can compete for most matchups, but I don't know. We'll be able to hold the momentum. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping they do. You know what I mean? There's going to be games where the Eagles are still trying to find their identity pretty early in the season, and they probably don't have it yet. This is why the players talk to the coaches. This is why that bye week 5 last year, Lane Johnson and the offensive line went up to Nick and said, "Look, we got to run the ball more at Saquon. We got to run more." And you know, like, things change. You know, there's a lot of there's the great thing is they have communication. And if things need to change, it will fucking change. You know, but the defense might have to help the offense out for a little bit. The defensive line might need to get pressure at times, and you know, edge rusher. Like, I think Aziz Ojulari has been okay. Uche, I haven't been hearing much from that position. You know, not much. But I have heard that Aziz Ojulari has been stepping up. Uche at times, but it hasn't been consistent. So how much do I take out of these practices? Because obviously I was wrong last year on 2 players in Nakobe Dean and fucking Nolan Smith. So are we going to see different play? I mean, you can't throw Aziz Ojulari and Joshua Uche into a starting defense in the preseason game, the first preseason game. You don't got Jalen Carter on the field. It makes it much easier for these guys to get fucking blocked. You don't have the starting defense out there. You know, how much do I take out of that, you know? Visible says, personally, I think it's a little premature to already count out Bennett over one. No, I mean, it hasn't been one. It's been a few practices for Bennett, but just it's not enough. He hasn't even had a week of practice with the Eagles. Not even a week. Not even a fucking week. You know what I mean? So I can't put too much pressure on it. Like I say, like, I can't beat a player down being put into a situation. You know what I mean? And look, at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna hype up a player. I'm never gonna hype up a player unless he deserves the hype. And if he deserves to get shit on, he'll get shit on. It's very uncensored around these parts of this channel. This is what I've been doing. This is how I've been doing it. And I'm not always right. And sometimes I'm wrong. You know? That's how it is. Brian says Jalen got benched. He's behind Nolan. Yeah, no, I know. Joshua Uche has taken over first team defensive reps. Jalix Hunt has been put down to the second team. I don't care about that much. Like, I don't really give a shit about that. I think Jalix Hunt has had a really good camp. Even Mulata's like, he's got those those Micah Parsons tendencies. And that's really good coming from Jordan Mulata when he's faced Jalix Hunt at camp. But it's in a rotation, so if he's next to, what's it called? I'm having a brain fart. If Jalix Hunt is in the second rotation, who cares? You know? They're all rotating. You know, first team, second team, second. Like, they're all rotating. I'm not really caring about Jalix Hunt being put to the second team. Joshua Uche is a natural edge rusher that had a couple. 2 years ago he had double-digit sacks, and then last year he was traded mid-season to KC and was a healthy scratch for the rest of the year, only because he couldn't learn Spags' system. That was hard to learn, and he was really behind. You get traded week 8, week 9 of the season to another team, it's hard to really catch up as a player to learn another defense, to be honest with you. You know, so I can't put too much on him for that, you know? Is that we're just going to have solid rotation of fresh bodies, and that's all that matters. That's it. Honestly, I don't even really care who starts first, second defensive line rotation. It doesn't really matter to me, you know. Eugene says, "Do you trust Mac McWilliams?" No, no, I don't trust nobody. Mac McWilliams, you notice Mac McWilliams has been getting more snaps on the outside than inside now? They're desperate to find a fucking guy to reach the surface right now. They got nobody that has reached the fucking surface for this cornerback 2 spot yet. This is why, like I just said, Mac McWilliams has been playing more outside now because that has been literally the legit emergency of this defense is that cornerback fucking 2 spot. You know? Darren does it happened to Dotson last season, came in really late, knew he was going to be really good. Yeah. I mean, we were questioning, like, is he not good? But, he played catch up the whole fucking year last year. Now on a contract year, caught up with the offense, there's more trust now. There's more trust between Hurts and Dotson now. That connection should be a God-given great thing now, which is awesome. Can't complain about it. You know? They say each game this year will be just that. For scheme and players playing, Fangio doesn't look at anything more than what we can get out of players. Yeah. Brian says, who's even out there in free agency? Clowney, where's Agbo? Yeah, Agbo hasn't done anything. The 30-year-old edge rusher we got from the Browns, he hasn't done shit. He was signed a day before Eagles camp and hasn't done shit. Clowney, I don't know if the Eagles really have interest in that. I mean, Matthew Judon is out there. I would take a chance on Matthew Judon. I've been talking about Matthew Judon this whole fucking offseason program. You know? Was I right that they signed an older edge rusher? I was right on that, but the right guy, probably not. You know, Judon is still out there, and there's probably going to be a lot of teams after him. I wouldn't doubt it, but Matthew Judon, the rotation, fresh body. I mean, that's not a bad move if that's what they want to do. You know, times I know Vic Fangio had to do it last year and with our linebackers, but this year has been a little bit more troublesome with the linebacker position. I think it's been fine, honestly. I think it's been fine. I think small Munden is still learning, but he's getting better. And, I think Trotter's had a really good camp. I think he's had a solid camp, Zach Bond was injured for a bit and, they weren't rushing him back from an injury, just sign him to an extension. You don't want to, put too much on him, but I think he'll be fine. And, John Campbell's been great. I think linebacker is probably the best I think linebacker is one of the biggest strong suits to our defense, to be honest with you, I think it's really strong, Judon's 32. I think he's 32. But who cares? Who cares? In a rotation, who gives a shit? I don't want him to be the guy. We're not bringing Judon in to be the guy. You know what I mean? Is he a $20 million rusher? Probably not. No. I don't think that's going to be the case. But if that's what he's looking for, then no one's paying that. Unless someone's really stupid to pay that. Stephon Gilmore, it would have to be like a last minute. It would have to be like a desperation signing. Because honestly, I don't know even this second game, like what I'm, I don't know what I'm going to look at in the second game. I really don't. Like, I hope Ja'Cory Bennett goes into this preseason game and he just balls out. Like, I hope he does. I hope Eli Ricks does. I hope they all do well. Realistically, this is what I want. I want Ringo to win the job. I don't know if he's going to do it, though. Philly Rel 215 said, at this point, I'm just going to judge the players once the regular season starts. No, I agree. But, we have to judge in the offseason program as well. We have to judge what's going on because I am around when we do free agency and we do the draft, and there's a list of moves that have been made. Some have been very questioning, and some of the moves that we made this offseason became really big needs for the draft, which affected what we could have drafted, in the early rounds. You know what I mean? If they kept Chauncey for one more year, they would have drafted at least another corner, at least in the second round. That would have at least went for a corner in the second round at that point. I still don't know what the fucking problem is with this Chauncey situation. We probably will never know until years later, but it's still a questioning move in my opinion. You know, Slay walking for $10 million for the year. I get it. You don't want to pay a big chunk anymore. He's fulfilled. He's going to another team. He's probably going to retire after this year. If you have a chance to trade for Slay middle of the season and there's an issue, I'd probably make that move if there's still a fucking issue by week 7, week 8. And hopefully by that time, like, we feel pretty confident with that cornerback 2 spot. But Jake said, I want to see that Elijah Cooks and Terrace Marshall do tomorrow. If they ball out, I want to see what happens. Yeah, same here. Darius Cooper, I think, is the number 4 guy. I don't think Cooks has enough time to catch up. And Terrace Marshall just got back from injury a few practices ago, and he was the first receiver really that was turning heads, and then he got hurt, and he came back, and I don't know if he's really done too much. They're keeping Devontae Smith, they're keeping Jahan Dotson, AJ Brown. That's 3. Darius Cooper would be your 4. Johnny Wilson, I feel like they have to keep. So maybe they're only keeping 5 guys. Maybe they keep 6 if they like one more guy. Maybe. We'll see. It's either 5 or 6. And is someone going to beat out Johnny Wilson? That's going to be the next thing. Is one preseason game going to do that? JM says Cowboys, Chiefs, and Rams for the first 3 games. I'm not worried about any of those offensive lines. No, I'm not worried either. You know what I mean? But it's still. But I'm talking about you're gonna have to knock off some rust the first few weeks, and those are some really big powerhouse matchups you're gonna have to go against. Times I know I meant like Vic Fangio had to do what he's doing this year with cornerback 2 as he had to do with linebacker last year, but this is a little bit more troublesome with cornerback 2. Sorry for that. Oh, no, you're good. Like, I'm hoping that, like, someone, like, pops out at cornerback 2 and plays, like, lights out phenomenal, like how Zach Bond just came out of fucking nowhere. Do I think we're going to get that this year at the cornerback 2 spot? I'm not sure. Once we get this final 53, figured out and what goes on in that regard, are the Eagles, and the Eagles, not only that, you got to think about it like this too. The Eagles are going to be picking somebody off the waiver wire. There's going to be a player out there that did well for a team, that was a tough candidate, that could have made the team, didn't make the team, that was on the bubble, that was playing really well, and the Eagles could pick up another guy. And that, the Eagles could pick up another guy. That's a reason to not to necessarily find a starter, but somebody that maybe is better depth wise for this team or something like that. What's going on? Ryland says, what's your expectations for Hurts this year? You think he passes for more, or you think he'll stick around and run heavy offense? Do you care if he throws for 4K or different as long as we're winning? No. As long as we're winning, I don't care. I mean, for the 4,000 plus yards, I mean, what quarterbacks are throwing for that? How many quarterbacks are throwing for 4K, making it to a Super Bowl? There's really not that many that are doing that, and running the football. And I don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, it's whatever is working, whether it's going to affect Hurts statistics, and he knows that it's going to hurt that. He does not care about that. The bread and butter of this offense going to this year especially is going to be the run game. I think this should be a run first team, no doubt, because it's a huge mismatch with the offensive line that you have. And, I think you always have to look different every single year. But even if he had 28, 2,900, 3,000 yards, I don't fucking care. As long as they're winning games. I know that Hurts doesn't care. I don't care. It is what it is, What's going on, Willie? I didn't take nobody's wrenches away. YouTube took wrenches away because when my channel was hacked a couple weeks ago, they pretty much reset everything. So it's not, I didn't do that. YouTube did that when my channel was hacked, so it wasn't me. Corville said they should consider Ricks, but they clearly don't want to consider him. Don't know if it was because he was undrafted free agent, but at least has had a few good moments again. No, I mean, if there's an undrafted free agent that could play, they'll play him. Like, they're not picky. They don't have veteran favoritism. Fangio, you play well, you practice well, you get your fucking snaps. That's how this defense is run by him. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But as for like cornerback, yeah, it's a little concerning. Eli Ricks has been probably the most consistent guy, and I'm kind of rooting for him right now. I'm rooting for anybody at this point, you know. Brian's a trust. Keely Ringo is going to be that guy. I believe in this kid's talent. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, bro. I remember when Keely Ringo was facing AJ Brown at camp, and everybody was making excuses like, "Oh, no one can cover AJ Brown." I mean, yeah, I get it. Like AJ Brown's one of the top receivers in the league. Like I get it. Like I'm not expecting Keely Ringo to have a shutdown day on fucking AJ Brown. Not expecting that. But and then this isn't like against Keely Ringo. Like this is just what we're getting out of that matchup. It's not a good matchup. You know what I mean? That's where we're kind of at with that. But then he gets beat by fucking Jamar Chase. I mean, on a fucking pass to the flat, and all he's got to do is corner him to the sideline and take that angle to make that tackle, or at least slow him down, or at least grab Jamar Chase on the legs and let somebody finish the play. I would have congratulated him for that. But he hesitated way too much. He gave him way too much of a lane. He gave him way too much space. One fucking move, and that's it. Ringo turns to the right or the left, or if he has to backtrack his body in that motion, he's just a fucking statue at times. There's no fluidity. There's no transition with his hips. Like it's his movement is very robotic, and I'm hoping I see more. But seeing that and these camps, like I haven't heard him have like that much of a good day. I mean, something, even the joint practices. He's on second team, second team, second team, second team. Like he's just on second team. Is he getting first team reps at times? Sure. Darren says, heard you say Slay, we can get him back. They can, like they could. Like if the Steelers are having a bad fucking year, and they're just like, and trust me, trading for Slay would be great because he'll be a lot cheaper. His contract has been paid off to that. He'll be a lot cheaper. That $10 million will be down to who knows what it's going to be down to by that time. So potentially there's an opportunity for it. Yeah. It's been quiet on the Jalen Hunt front, losing first team reps. I wouldn't make a big deal out of that, dude. That's no big deal. Jomo's having a great fucking camp, and he's on second team. You know what I mean? Like you can't defensive line. There's a rotation to that effect. You can't be like, Jalen Hunt second team. Like at the end of the day, like Uche has been in the league for a while now. Okay, Uche is 26, 27 years old. He's a natural edge rusher. He's only going to get better in camp. Like the guy just had double-digit sacks a couple years ago. And last year he was traded mid-season. You know what I mean? So if there's a guy that they want to see, and most likely, like Jalen Hunt could be the starter this regular season. You got to understand that they're putting in guys and they're sticking guys into that number one spot every day. Like Fangio is putting guys to the test. Necessarily just because Uche starts in front of Jalen Hunt in the defensive line from first to second, it doesn't mean that he's going to take the first reps. That doesn't necessarily mean that, but Steelers are too old at key positions. Yeah. I mean, I think the roster's pretty good. Quarterback is still questionable, but Brian, I'm worried about Uche on first, second down. He was mainly a pass rusher specialist because he can't set an edge. There's and look, not every edge rusher in the league could do anything against the run, and that's fine. I got no issue with that, to be honest. Like, you're getting paid big bucks to go after the quarterback, and that's fine. You have linebackers that go downhill that fill in those gaps. Like, I'm not really worried about that too much. Not every edge rusher that you get is naturally going to be good against the run. And these guys, like I said, they don't get paid for, it's great that they could set the edge, and it's great they could do that. But we need edge rushers. Like, we need guys going after the quarterback. We need guys that we need guys that can go after quarterbacks in that regard. And if you have some guys that could do that, then fine. No issue with that at all. Sean Dallas says Howie shouldn't have played a wait and see in second when he knew Amos was who he really wanted. Yeah, I mean, look, they didn't have to get Andrew Makuba in this draft. They could have kept Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and they could have drafted the corner in the second round. There's so much more they could have done. I think they're putting a lot into producing young players, and I respect them for that. They're not pulling the trigger on a big trade, giving up so much, paying another guy they really can't afford to pay just because they want to win a Super Bowl this year. They're not just working for this year; they're working for multiple years. The Eagles have 13 picks. You're coming off a Super Bowl, and the Eagles have 13 picks going into the 26th season after this year. So when it's all said and done, if they win another championship, you got 13 picks still for next year, which is pretty good. Tanner McKee, I think, is going to get traded after this year. Tanner McKee is definitely going to be moved. There's no doubt about it. There's going to be a quarterback needy team that couldn't get one in the draft, or a team that, that's very quarterback needy, and I think potentially they could fleece a team on a Tanner McKee trade. I really do. From a day 1 to a day 2 pick, I think they can get something of that compensation. Chris says, "How long does Howie want to make it to want to make a move at cornerback? Does he trade a? No, I don't think you can afford to do that. To be honest, I mean, a first round, you want to trade it's really hard to trade for a good player before the season starts, unless you're giving away a house of picks. Or I have indigestion, hiccups. A house of picks. It's hard to do that. I don't know if they make a move like that, to be honest. I don't want a booty goon like Chris. That story is really weird. Oh man, sorry, indigestion. Ron says, I wonder how serious Eagles will look at cornerback in the next year's draft if we don't get this squared away. The quarterback 2 is barbecued and we lose out on a chance to compete. It's going to be a problem. Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, it's not on Keely Ringo, it's on Howie Roseman. It's when that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade happened, I was like, this is the start of it all. Then I thought they got a comp pick for Isaiah Rodgers, and they didn't. So that man went to the Vikings for he walked for nothing. $4 to $6 million, whatever that deal was, that cheap 1-year deal was. I mean, come on now. You know what I mean? Like, they could have done something there. Whoever said teams aren't going to trade starting cornerbacks now this close to the season unless there's a serious contract issue, or there's a team that's like, holy shit, they're willing to give us like a first and a second for next year. Like, fuck it, let's just do it because we need the picks. You never know. But I don't see the Eagles doing that anyway. The Eagles traded Thomas Booker. They got Jacorian Bennett. They didn't have to give up any picks for that trade. The problem is, like, Jacorian Bennett's playing fucking catch up right now. Playing catch up, unfortunately. Rome, what's going on, buddy? He said, from that podcast, seems like Howie's going to look to get a first round corner. We might be locked in this year. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, bro, but this second game, if I see nothing out of corners, bro, this is going to be bad. And it's so fucking literally like Howie Roseman just took the biggest shortcut in this offseason regarding that cornerback 2 spot. Thank fucking God Quinyon Mitchell is here, bro. If they didn't have Quinyon Mitchell, I don't even know what. Like, we're getting back to this corner fucking problem now after all these years that we're finally going to get back to this cornerback spot. You're going to have a good roster. You're going to have a good roster offensively. Your defense should be good, but I don't know. Corvus said, how is through our pre-op Carr's upcoming contract that you started cutting corners by letting even lower cost players go? Yeah, it's a problem, dude. Like, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson getting traded, like what the fuck happened, dude? That like I can't believe this was a cap issue. I really don't. And when that happened, I was like, wow, that really sucks, dude. Really sucks. That was the start. That was the domino effect. That was the start of it all, where things were really really confusing. I don't know. I don't think he's starting. But the guy wanted to stay in Philadelphia. The guy didn't want to go anywhere else. He wanted to stay in Philly. You know? He had some very good plays for us, especially in the playoffs when he had to, take over. He could play multiple positions. Got the versatility, like I said, I mean, why did they sign Adoree? He wasn't even a starter of Bum John. They signed Adoree Jackson to motivate Ringo. They signed Adoree. Adoree Jackson is the Devin White role to this defense. Adoree is getting all these fucking starts. It's literally a fucking carbon copy of Devin White in front of Nakobe Dean last year. It's a carbon copy blueprint. Devin White started every single fucking middle linebacker. He started linebacker every single day. And then all of a sudden they got rid of him. I think they released him or whatever they did. So I feel like Adoree is I think they signed him as a safety blanket for the offseason program. He's only here just for motivation. So I feel like they're putting him in front of Ringo every practice for Ringo to like push himself to win that job. And I don't think that's happening. It's so weird if that's the case, but it's almost the same exact concept. Because if Adoree Jackson is the starting cornerback 2 for this team, we are fucking cooked. This is what we're going to have to deal with that shit every fucking game. Every game. Ron said, I wonder that CJ did really made the front office trade him after we just got him back. When CJ got ejected in Washington, he flicked off the stands as he walked to the tunnel. Well, I mean, not only did he do that game when he got kicked out for no reason, he went into the fucking locker room and went on Instagram Live. That was kind of stupid. Like, the guy can't be off social media for like a half a second. You get kicked out of it. I think he just wanted to talk to the fans and just tell them how much bullshit it was. I think he just wanted to tell everybody he did nothing wrong. And like, I just got kicked out for talking shit. Which I agree, it was bullshit. There's no doubt. We were like, that's some fucking crazy shit. Jordan said, crazy to let go of CJ again after a year where he had 6 interceptions. I don't get that move. At least like put out a statement from I don't know. There's like no statement, no, like I don't, that fucking trade made no sense to me. And obviously the Eagles didn't win that trade because Kenyon Green is not a starter. And Kenyon Green is hurt right now and missing the entire preseason. And that's unfortunate. It's going to be Bennett or Mack. I think like if I was to guess what's going to happen, I think Ja'Cory Bennett's going to be thrown at cornerback 2 start of the season. He's got a resume the last couple years. Legit, he was almost going to be a future CB1 for the Raiders at one point. But we got to see more. He hasn't got enough practices in. Billy Johnson, Joey 672. What if Ja'Cory Bennett is actually good? Did you watch Top Villains Breakdown? He shut down Jamar Chase or George Pickens. I don't know about the Cortland Sutton and George Pickens plays. I know that he didn't play Jamar Chase the entire game. He played I think he was like a third. I think he was a corner on third down. I think it was like, I think he only gave up like 3-4 receptions for like 13 to 16 yards for Ja'Marr Chase against Ja'Marr Chase. I think people are overly doing it with that matchup. So I mean, it's a good sign that when he plays, he's productive, so that's a good thing. But regarding like I don't know about the other matchups, but I know he didn't play in the entire game against Ja'Marr Chase, but he was fairly productive against them. But like I said, the trade was never about Kenyon Green. They just wanted him out for whatever reason. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I know it's fucking bad. I'm sorry. I got the hiccups. Condaz Joey, what's up with APR? Yeah, Ryland Jr. hasn't done shit either. I haven't seen nothing from him. Ron, I'm excited to see how Fangio is going to move Cooper around. He's going to be such a problem this year. I really want to snag Kelly Green Jr. If they're short up as a depth piece, if they have a depth piece short up at inside corner, and cornerback 2 is playing pretty well. I think they can move him around, but they're not going to move him around if they have literally two issues. I know I'm drinking water right now. This is water. Won't go away. I'm trying, bro. It's fucking bad. I'm so sorry. It's derailing the stream. I'm so sorry. So, like I said, like I wanted to do a stream tonight because the last couple days I didn't stream. I went to an event. You've probably seen it on X. I went to a premiere party for Friday the 13th. I had tickets for that I got a while ago, and I didn't know that it was going to end up on the joint practice days. So I couldn't cancel it. I had to go, unfortunately. So I had a good time though. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I did go. Dex has got to give corner 2 help. Q and Coop going to be on the islands. Well, some guys have to handle their own every single week. Like I said, I don't feel very good. Like you're always going to face 2 good receivers. Let me tell you, like you got George Pickens and you got George Pickens the first week. Do you trust any of these guys to face George Pickens? Probably not. I don't feel good about it, to be honest. Like I said, I think they're going to throw Makuba in there, and I think they're going to throw Ja'Cory Bennett in there that first game. So there's got to be conversations going on after every fucking practice that no one is reaching that surface at corner 2. And that's a problem. He says, Zach, the whole defense umbrella. Zach said Ringo doesn't have the corner skills or IQ. I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen as a cornerback, I don't think he's great. I think he's very. I just think his athletic ability. I feel like he's just a straight line. He's a straight line speed type guy, and that's like it. Pickens would retire Keeley. Q going to be on. He gets Coop on CD. CD plays 7-10 snaps from the slot minimum. Yeah. Brian's down about Bennett. He got cooked by a guy named Gage LeVar. Yeah, I know. He got beat by a guy I don't even know. But, I mean, if you're saying Ringo's got a shot, I mean, the guy can't even get full fucking snaps at cornerback 1. Sorry. The guy can't get full snaps at fucking with the first team defense. You know what I mean? We could talk shit about Ja'Cory Bennett that's barely played for a week, but fucking Ringo's been here since day 1 of camp, and what the fuck has he done? Nothing. What has he done? What did he do? Nothing. Even that play to Jamar Chase on the flat, Sidney Brown fucking slows him down. Sidney Brown comes down, slows him down, and still can't fucking tackle him. Well, to Joe, I know it's all talk about off the Eagles, but you have seen weapons yet? Well, you saw it today. I thought it lived up to the hype. I did not see it yet. No, we gotta go. I have to go see it with my girl. I've not seen it yet. Zach says, "Yeah, I've been telling people he's just for specials." Tough skipped right over my comment about Dallas. Let me go back. No, I didn't skip over it. Q going to be on Pickens, Coop on CD. CD plays 7 out of 10 snaps from the slot minimum. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. Like, that's why Cooper has to play on the in fucking side. Like, everyone's saying, put Cooper to the cornerback 2 spot. No, dude, because this is the main reason. You take Cooper out of that cornerback, you take Cooper out of the inside, all they're going to do is put their number 1 receiver on the inside. It's going to be a Nate Gary situation all over again, almost. I mean, thank God you actually have good linebackers, so it's really not a Nate Gary situation, but you got good linebackers now, but it's not enough. These twitchy, sometimes you'll have a number 1 receiver on the inside, a tight end. It just depends. But you're creating a bigger fucking weakness putting Coop at CB2. Joe, you said Akili is getting the Kobe Dean didn't get for. Well, if that's the case, I don't know if that's the case. It's almost a mirror image of what's going on, but is that actually what is going on right now? I don't know. I wish I had the answer. You know what I mean? I have no clue. But it's almost like, because realistically, this is what I said about Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith. Like, Nolan Smith had 2 sacks in a preseason game last year, off-season program. Okay, he had a sack where he wasn't even fucking touched, and then he had a sack where the running back chipped him and pushed him into the fucking quarterback. And I was like, I don't know about this. And everyone was hyping it up. I don't know about this. Then Nakobe Dean, since he hasn't started one fucking day, got into that open practice in front of all the Eagle fans and was cooked by Kenneth Gainwell on like a couple fucking wheel routes, like totally cooked. And I was like, yeah, this doesn't look good. So I hope trust me, Brian, I want Keely Ringo to start. Trust me. I hope I'm getting tricked. I hope like they are totally tricking me on this whole entire situation. I hope so. You know what I mean? I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 games to make the argument for Coop on the outside, Tampa and the. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough. I don't know. We have to get to this first fucking game and see what happens. Like, realistically, tomorrow's game might not even it might not even matter, tomorrow's game. Like, this game tomorrow, we might see nothing from these corners tomorrow. You know? And trust me, like, we find out how many times, we'll see how many snaps guys get in this game tomorrow and who they feel comfortable with. Usually in the second preseason game, the guys that get the most reps are the guys that they really are putting to the test, that they really want to see what they've got. And this is like their last hoorah of a game to make this roster and make the coaching staff feel real comfortable with them. Guys that don't play necessarily are guys that will be on the roster or get very little snaps to where, they're not high on them. So it goes both ways. I forgot about that ironic Nakobe ended the game on a running back wheel route interception versus the Jags. Was that a wheel route from the running back? It was. I forgot that play. Well, I didn't forget the play, but I forgot like who it was that he was guarding. That was a first down, right? That was on first down on the Eagle side of the field that threw a pass like that. Roll Philly Dog said, if they're tricking us on Ringo, then he must be on it because that game versus the Bengals. Yeah, that's, dude, like, there's only so much I could say. Like, my eyes see what my eyes fucking see, and it's like, that's all I could take from it. That's all I could take from it. So, they didn't trade for Jacorian Bennett because they just wanted depth at the position, what Nick said. Don't believe a damn word that these coaches say at these press conferences because it's all bullshit. all bullshit. When Vic Fangio said, "Oh, Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, the competition is close." Remember that fucking statement? I almost shit my pants sitting here like, what the fuck did I just what did I just listen to? Judy torched Ringo on the same way that Chase did in practice. Yeah, I mean, what he hasn't had any good days. Ringo has not had a good fucking day. Not one. Not one good day at all. He's had an almost pick on Goddard. He had a deflection on Goddard or an almost pick on Goddard. He's had a deflection on Saquon Barkley. That's like it. He's never won against A.J. Brown once. I've never even seen him go up against Devontae Smith one time in fucking practice. I don't even know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't get the stranglehold on this fan base has on Ringo. I think Rick's is 10 times the corner Ringo is. Yeah, the competition is close because they both been cheek. Yeah, they both been horrible. Yeah, the competition is close in a really fucking negative way. Yes, I agree with that 100%. Guys, did everyone forget that Chase is a top 3? Yeah, I get it, but are you gonna say that on fucking game day? Are you gonna say, oh, Ringo, there's only so many players that could beat, but that's the best. That's the best work he's gonna get. You know what I mean? The problem with Eli Ricks is that he's more of a press man type corner. He's not a zone guy. So playing zone, he's going to get beat. Playing man, he's got way of a better chance. If he's up at the line, at least a yard to 2 yards, he can use his physicality a little bit. He actually could he actually contests it really well. He can actually contest really well. When he just plays off and he has to be in open space the entire time, he gets beat easily. Like Ricks is just better press man, but Fangio's not going to do that every single play just because that's his strong suit. Our NFL corner has to go up against good wide receivers. That's part of the job. It's part of the job, but he's not beating he's not even beating Darius Cooper. He's not even beating no-name guys. Elijah Cooks was cooking his ass too. I mean, you know what I mean? He's a 4th-round pick, guys. He's not a fucking second that hasn't got an opportunity yet. Like a 4th-round pick from Georgia. We're talking about a 4th-round pick. I'm not shitting on Ringo as like I'm explaining what Ringo is and what he's showcasing us. I'm not shitting on him getting his opportunity. I want him to win this job. But the Eagles are putting all the pressure on a fucking 4th-round pick to win this fucking job, and you did nothing. Guys, they could have let Rodgers walk and Slay walk, but at least trade for like a number 2 from another team that's maybe for a mid-round pick, like something like that. Like just trade for like, even that somebody needs to come in, learn the defense that fits Vic's scheme. Fine, do that. But they did nothing. They literally said, trade Chauncey, draft Makuba, leave, do not touch anything with this cornerback 2 spot. They literally fucking said, I don't know how he's in infatuation with the Georgia. Oh, these Georgia guys worked out. Maybe he works for the. I mean, I don't know. I really don't fucking know. You know what I mean? I've been back and forth on this situation, like back and forth on it. It's the only position it's the corner 2 is like the only position right now where I'm kind of like every day I'm like, okay, who's gonna get fucking torched today? Because like every day, like there's no good news. It's always fucking drama. It's always bad news. Like every day. The only person Ringo can line up and stop on this team is probably Tanner McKee. Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope I'm fucking wrong. I hope I'm being tricked right now. Rose says exactly my point, Joe. I don't know why people act like Ringo has more of a claim to the job than Ricks. And I don't get why people think that. Ricks has played the position more. Ricks has more experience on the field. Ricks in 23. Remember when Avonte Maddox was out for the year and fucking Zach McPherson was out for the year? Remember we were rotating outside corners to play inside corner? And, the Dolphins game, I thought Ricks played well. Did really good job against Tyreek Hill in that game. Thought he was great. But it's one game, But they've all had opportunities. Ringo's had opportunity. Ringo had an opportunity in 23, and he couldn't play inside for shit. You know what I mean? But I can't put too much on him. I can't put too much on even Ricks. I mean, Ricks is undrafted. Like, what am I expected? He's either going to be a gem, or he's going to be a depth guy, or a practice squad candidate. Like, I can't put too much on him. You know what I mean? Tommy said if Ringo stopped slapping his knees together, he would be better cornerback, faster of his breaks. He should work on his breaks and breakdowns, because the way Jamar Chase walked around him is embarrassing. You know, it's not like Jamar Chase had 50 yards in front of him with nobody around, and it was Ringo and him one-on-one with nobody around. You know what I mean? Like, you gave him too much space. Push him to the he doesn't even have to make the play. Just push him to the sideline. If Chase wants to run backwards and try to run around it, that's on him. All you have to do is just put pressure on him to the sideline. Even if somebody else made the play, that's a good play by Keely Ringo. You know what I mean? Sidney Brown slowed his ass down, and all, you know what I mean? And then he decided to give him just enough space on either side, a yard and a half, probably to the sideline, to all this open space on the left side of Ricks. Sorry, the left side of Keely Ringo, and that was it. One fucking move, boom, out, done, gone. That's what Chase is going to do to you. You know? The only fucking play out of that preseason game, the first preseason game, from the cornerbacks that was a good play, Adoree Jackson came down after being 8 to 10 yards off the ball. Before the guy got a first down, he tackled him in open space perfectly. Good tackle by Adoree Jackson. That was the only fucking play that literally was any time that was credited, to be honest with you. What's crazy is Brian Pumper believes more in Keely Ringo than he did in Hurts. You know, Brian, you know, he it's probably correct. And I love Brian, but it's probably correct, because he might have shown Hurts a little bit last year, but Sean said Ricks would be fine. Just hope he doesn't whiff off the jam at press man, because he cannot catch up to elite speed. No. Brian said my biggest issue with Ja'Cory Bennett coming out of Maryland is tackling. He was the worst graded tackler in 24 out of thousands of players. I don't know. Like I said, I think he had a lot of hype last year, and I don't think he played bad last year. You know, I think the tackling situation with players, I think that you can always learn. I think you just need good coaching behind it. I don't think tackling is a big issue with players unless you practice well. You practice as good as you play. So to take a stat like that, just be like he was the worst tackler, you know, I whatever. You know what I mean? I don't think he's had a fair shot in Philadelphia yet, because he hasn't had a week of practice yet. So, you know what I mean? I think Gilmore would be a really good signing. He could still play and still be a vet voice, giving Q and Coop knowledge and tips. I don't think they need knowledge and tips, bro. Don't you know that we already have leaders on this fucking team? Reed Blankenship's a leader. DeJean's going to be more vocal. Quinyon leads by example. He's not the most vocal guy. You know? Campbell's going to rise to the occasion. You don't need a guy like him. They have leaders here, bro. They went through the season they went last year. A lot of leaders are in the motion right now. I'm not worried about we're not lacking any leadership defensively. That's definitely not happening. So I'm not really worried about that. Yeah, Q talks shit in game when he's playing and stuff. Yeah, he does. See, remember the video that just came out last week or early this week? Remember the mic'd up video of Quinyon Mitchell and AJ Brown going back and forth at camp? Remember when Quinyon was like, I'll take AJ Brown, and Ringo was like, okay. You know, you know what I mean? I don't know. I might be reading too far into it. Yeah, I'm not worried about we have leadership. Like Gilmore's gonna come right in and just be like a leader for us. Like fuck him. He ain't no leader for us. And I don't even want to get him, to be honest. I have no interest in Gilmore. I really don't. Like, you're lacking. You think him just sitting out in free agency means he's a good player at this point? I mean, look, at this, players that are over 30 years old, they don't go to training camps. They work out on their own schedule. They come in when there's injuries and they get a starting job and they get paid a nice little chunk of cash for the year. That's why they sit out. That's why these guys over 30 years old, they sit out for that reason. Because if they go into a camp, they get beat in camp. They don't want to go through all that shit, be on a roster as a backup the entire year. They want to come in as a starter because of an injury, get playing time, get paid a little bit more out of desperation because they will get more money out of desperation. You know what I mean? He said, I don't think Ringo is the issue as much as the lack of depth behind. The lack of depth behind Ringo. Most want Jackson gone. Most want Jackson gone anyway. There's no depth. Inside corner behind the Jean, no depth. Outside corner, it's hard to, look, you can't have superstars depth at every position. You're never going to have that. You know what I mean? You're hoping that Quinyon Mitchell stays healthy the whole year. Your two cornerbacks, that's a position you need guys healthy the entire year. But if you had an Isaiah Rodgers on this team as a backup, like I said, like having Isaiah Rodgers on this team as a backup last year was good. He had some very valuable fucking plays last year, especially in the playoffs when he had to play. Okay, so if Isaiah Rodgers was getting more snaps than fucking Ringo as the backup, it should already fucking tell you where Ringo is at. But Ringo had no fucking snaps. Ringo had no snaps at corner. He was a fucking special teamer all year. So you're taking a special teamer that had full-time snaps at that position last year, and you're putting all the pressure on him this year. I mean, trust me, I hate talking about this position. I'm kind of fed up with it because, like, you have this monster fucking roster right now that could literally repeat for a second fucking year. All it's going to take is one stupid bone-ass play from our cornerback, too, to not cover somebody or blow coverage or can't catch up to somebody, and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? That's all it takes. Your defensive line is going to suffer because of that position because the guy's going to be open every fucking 0.5 seconds off the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a fucking disaster, you know? The case said Ringo will be looking for safety help if no one on tighten up, young fella. Yeah. Ringo saying no would have spoke volumes. I think he said okay. Or whatever he said. Said okay, or I don't think he said no. I think he said okay. Or whatever. He was like, yeah, you can take him. Brian said, but to be honest, the only corner who has had a good camp is Q. Even Cooper has been mid. I don't think Cooper's had a bad camp at all. Like Cooper's been playing a lot of safety this year in this camp, and he's learning that position. So if I'm hearing good news from Fangio that he's like an ace at that position, like he's been playing safety for years, I mean, it's not a bad thing at all. But you got to think about it, too. They're rotating a lot of guys at that inside corner spot because they want to move Cooper around the field. Like, they don't want to stick Cooper to one position. And Q's been excellent. So I don't get what a mid-camp is. Like, I don't get what a mid-camp is supposed to be. Coop's made plays. Why? Because he's not talked about every single camp for fucking an hour and a half? That means he's not having a good camp? No. No, of course not. Roll says Gilmore's not notched down to Darius Slade, but much cheaper. It's not about him being a leader. It's about having experience of being a lead for a long time, including. Well, yeah, I mean, realistically, if you sign a guy like Gilmore, like you want him to just be on one guy the entire game and just hopefully he could stay healthy and pan out for the whole year. I mean, that's really it, you know. I think we're lacking leadership out of there. Too many young players. No, I think there's a lot of young players with a lot of experience, honestly. I think there's a lot of mature players out there. I don't care about age. I care about maturity and how these players really handle themselves. Not really on the field, but off the field as well. And I think you have that with a lot of players. I think they've learned a lot. I think the veterans have put them in the right direction. I think there's a lot of leaders rising on this team. I don't think we're lacking any leadership at all. I think that's completely false, but that's my opinion, though. That's all. In case of Mac McWilliams is going to be the day one starter, he needs more reps, but he has the tools to be good. Yeah, Mac has had his Max, has up and down days. He started really inside. He was playing more inside, but now he's playing more outside now because they want to see what he's got. They're lacking at the CB2 spot, and now he's another one that's competing for the spot. Goes, I wish they would have kept Rodgers and tried to convert Ringo to safety at the start of camp. He is a good special teams tackler, so he might be able to play safety. He just doesn't have the hips to be a cornerback. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the Eagles haven't done that. They probably will never do that. If they haven't done it at this point, then they're probably if they haven't done it at this point, then it's probably safe to say that they don't want him to play another position. Reporters have been saying Coop been getting beat for a lot of touchdowns, and again, it's Smitty. I don't think he's been getting beat for a lot of fucking touchdowns. As you say, he is. I've been covering camp every single day, and I haven't read him getting beat that fucking much. Like, you're claiming this guy's getting fucking dogged on every fucking practice. I don't think that's the truth. I think that's an over exaggeration. Garrett Key says, Joey, keep it 100 with me as secondary. Really looking at. I mean, it's just not showing me much. It's not that I want to say it's bad. It's not that I'm trying to tell everybody believe the hype of this cornerback 2 spot is that bad. It's just whatever my eyes could see and whatever that I'm hearing and whatever that's whatever that is sent to us from these practices every day. It's not showing me that someone is really rising to the surface at this CB2 spot. I mean, that's really it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be negative in any way. I want to be positive every single day. Trust me. I don't think we are lacking leadership at all. I'm just the type of guy that values a high vet in the room, even if he's not the top of his game. I think letting Slay go was a mistake. No, I mean, look, Slay's fulfilled. He won a Super Bowl. He's going to retire after this year. He's going to retire. He's going to play his last season with Pittsburgh, and he's pretty much going to be done. I mean, Zach Bond is becoming a big leader for this team, and he's a veteran guy. So I think that's overextended a little bit on just, you're going to lose leaders every single year. It happens. You're going to lose certain guys every year. Some guys are not going to pay. They're going to go. It's going to happen. So. Dax is Pumpy exaggerating so much. I mean, look, it's not exaggeration. It's people read things and trust me, if Coop was playing that bad, I think all these beat writers on their podcast would be talking about how bad Coop has had because they love that. If Coop was that bad and that's big news for Philadelphia and they want to get viewership on that, they would talk about it every fucking day if he was playing that bad. Realistically. And I'm not no know-it-all. There's probably some things I've missed during camp days where these guys are making articles 6, 7 o'clock at night. I don't have the time to sit there for hours after camp and fucking figure out what else has happened because I just don't have the time to do that. I'm there for the live practice, whatever they report. And sometimes it's fucking lacking every single day. Sometimes it's almost lacking a lot of times. So trust me, if something bad was happening, these fucking beat writers would be eating it up and talking about it on their podcast and saying dumb shit every single day because that's what they do. That's what they do. Even guy says Vic wants Cooper at a safety and not cornerback too. That's it's 100%. If he had the opportunity to put Coop at safety right now, he would do it because you could move him and you could do whatever you want with Coop at that point. But I just don't think it's a this year 2025 type of thing. I think it's going to be more of a 26 type of thing to 27. Zach feel you. Zach is feel you, and we play 80+% matchup zone, which is why I'm not on that bridge with you yet. Thing. I said Coop is going to safety next year. Mac will be slot and Kuba the other safety. Reed not getting re-signed. Yeah, Reed not getting re-signed is going to be interesting. I don't know what they're going to do. You know, like, what are they going to do with Nakobe Dean after this year? Like, I think his job is done. If you believe, if you were to believe that, you know, Jahad Campbell wasn't drafted because of this fucking injury, you know, I would, you know, when Howie was like, oh, this had nothing to do with the Nakobe Dean injury, I think he's full of shit. But, you know, Reed says, why is this game at 1 p.m. on Saturday? Many are working then. Yeah, I know. It sucks. It sucks. I mean, I hate that this game. I mean, I actually like, for me as a content creator, whatever you call me these days, I like the early games. I can't stand primetime games anymore. I can't because I'm up really late. I'm up really late. Like that Jets preseason game, like I'm gonna stream it, but like obviously no one's gonna give a shit about that game. That third preseason game is all for players that aren't making the fucking roster. That third preseason game is literally a talent show for other teams. It's a talent show for them to be on the Eagles for that last game and really showcase their skills to other teams when they get put out on waivers or they're getting released. That's what that third game is for. It's not for anybody else. But who knows? We might need this fucking third game. Who knows? But playing Ringo in a fucking Keely Ringo in a fucking third preseason game against like shit talent is not going to do much for me anyway. Do we draft cornerback in the first next year? It depends what they do this year. It depends what they do this year. You know what I mean? I don't think you draft a number 2 in the first round. I don't think you go that far up, but I mean they could do that and say, fuck it, let's draft another guy. You know? But how Kuba in the slot? I don't know how he's been playing inside. In dime package, I'm not sure. Because he is playing inside on dime package. But he's had at least with Makuba, he's had up and down days. Up and down. Like, I have it written down, actually. Because, let's see. I can't even read my own handwriting sometimes. Like, some of this reporting is just really bad because they don't even tell you who they go against. Like, Makuba had a deflection the second day of Browns camp, and then he got beat. Then he got beat on a touch. He got beat on a fucking by Harold Fanning Jr. on a corner route. He's had up down, like an up down practice. It's been up down practices, and that's better than having negative day, like every fucking day. You know what I mean? But Makuba missing those 5 fucking days, it sucked. You know? Oh yeah, he got an interception. Oh yeah. He had an interception. Sorry, ZM. Yeah, he got a pick the last. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel rifle pass to Drake Johnson go at the goal line, bobbled it. Makuba pick play to end practice. Yes, he got the pick. I totally forgot. Thank you for letting me know on that. So up and down. That's better. That's better than just he was beat, he was burned, he was beat every fucking day. He was every day, you know? So, Makuba, I think safety, we're going to be fine. I think Makuba needs to just get in there, go through his shit, and then he'll get better and he'll be fine. But this CB2 spot, the biggest problem, the biggest fucking issue we have. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Even Q got beat, so it was just one of those days. Yeah, like it's gonna happen, bro. Like it's gonna fucking happen. It's gonna happen. And not even that. During these practices, like sometimes these quarterbacks are sacked during these joint practices, and then they still let the quarterback throw the fucking ball. You know, like these quarterbacks aren't getting hit. Like if someone gets a sack, they'll let the defensive lineman will run right past the quarterback. The quarterback will still throw the fucking ball. So do I think these joint practices have a lot of value? It just depends on the position. But these quarterbacks aren't in a game. Like your mind is what your mindset is in a totally different world when you're in a game. Like Jalen Hurts, like the fucking Nolan Smith pick 6 at open camp. Everybody's like, "Oh, why would Jalen Hurts throw that?" Like, bro, like he's just throwing it. Like it's not a fucking game. He knows that. Like he would not throw that fucking ball. Let's be honest. Yeah, he's gonna throw the ball. Like, come on now. Like he's just gonna He's gonna sling it just because he knows it's not a game. And fuck it, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Shaw Murphy said, "Love this team and hype positive for the season, but this cornerback 2 spot and safety got me thinking." Yeah, I get it. Safety, I think we're gonna be fine. Honestly, I think safety we're gonna be good. As long as Makuba's healthy and he's back fully, I think we're gonna be fine. You know. Roll Philly, did you see the ESP put out on Sirianni Hurts joint practice? No, I don't even read that shit anymore. I don't. Honestly, I know Makuba was hurt, but I think he might just be worried he doesn't want to hurt his shoulder again. Yeah, potentially, but he's got to play. He's got to, he's got to show the coach staff what he's got. So, Bridget says, "I think Ringo will play above average too well tomorrow. However, I will have to watch it on replay. We will see." I worry Kuba will be like Dean, hurt all the time. I hope not. I hope not. He's a smaller player. He's small. He runs into Danny Gray at practice and he's fucking hurt. Danny Gray has a finger, Danny Gray had the finger injury, which led to him getting fucking waived. And Danny Gray was having actually a pretty good camp at wide receiver. Some of these receivers had some good camps before they got hurt. Let's see, I'm not telling you, Ringo has no hips, can't play tackle. In case I think Howie wanted to draft Starks but couldn't trade up, so he took another blue chipper, which is fine. But like last year, if the Steelers had accepted that trade, he would have got probably final over Q. So, I mean, that's what I'm kind of looking for. I don't want to make this a long 10-hour stream tonight, but I haven't streamed in a couple of days for the joint practices, and I've obviously talked about it in my videos. I haven't been fucking, celebrating this cornerback 2 spot at all. So I'll be streaming tomorrow at 12:30, and we'll kind of get into this game and see what happens. You know what I mean? We'll have the shakedown afterwards. I'll have a video out for the next day on the game, and we'll have the last week of practice, and then we're going to be waiting for the regular season. So we get no answer tomorrow, man. It's going to be like, I'm not going to know what to do. I'm not going to know what to say, what to do, what's going to happen. And, that's it. So I think that's going to be it for the night. I hope everybody had a good day today. I hope everyone enjoyed their day. And we'll be ready for the second preseason game against Cleveland Browns tomorrow. Nice and early. So we get done early and we get to see what happens. So I know, look, Sean Dial says, good chat. Everyone, lots of valid points. Yeah, look, guys, no one's right or wrong in this chat. Like, everybody has a valuable opinion. Like if I just if I just am always positive all the time or never negative all the time, you know what I mean? It's just, this is feedback. This is good criticism. This is something to talk about, and it's legit. Like, we're not at practice every day. We don't, trust me. I am as much in the dark as you guys are going to these fucking practices. Okay? I'm just a regular dude talking about the fucking Eagles and what's happening. That's it. There's nothing different about it. So, make sure to join up on the stream tomorrow, and we'll be chilling, have some good food tomorrow, get ready for the game tomorrow, do our thing, and we'll be doing our thing. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys on the next one. Love you all, and peace.